Well, hello, and welcome to part 8 of our exploration of the Vue 3 JavaScript framework and its use in building web forms. We built a web form here. It accepts all sorts of data. It validates that data, and it submits that data to a server. We're going to be working on masking data. We've already got some masks here. They're brought to us by our browser. The date, the time, and the datetime-local. These are all masked fields that the browser does for us. Mask does three basic things. It gives us a visual representation of what's expected. It adds in automatic separators like this dash or a comma or a colon or spaces, whatever makes sense. And it blocks out invalid characters. See, ABC, put them in, they're blocked out. But if I put in valid numbers for the year, like 2023, that's fine. Those are accepted. And there we go. I put in February 29th, 2023. That's an invalid date. We can tell because the validation code, that orange block, is working for us. So I'm going to put in 2024, and look at that. February 29th, 2024 is valid. Happy leap year, everyone. All right. Phone numbers. This is a common field to mask. And there's a lot of JavaScript libraries out there that will mask this field. So if you need to mask a phone number, I suggest you go out and find a field that, find a JavaScript library that will mask that field. But, you know, not every case is going to be handled with a custom library. So we have to do a custom field ourselves. And, well, a lot of these libraries, they offer some customization, but they're not perfect. They do a good job. So let's just build one from scratch here. I'm going to build a mask from scratch for the US zip code. And you can see this input I put in as a telephone number. And we're doing telephone number because on mobile devices the number keypad will come up. I'm going to be storing that data in something called zip code. So let's create that storage space now. Here's the ref. All right, that's now stored in our view. Keydown, this is an event that we'll be using for our mask. We'll also be using input for our mask, but it's being used for the custom validity right now message. And we can see our custom validity message is showing we need either 5 digits or we need 5 digits followed by a hyphen and 4 digits. That's what a US zip code format takes, and we can see that that's reflected in the pattern we've got up here. From the start of the string we need 5 digits, and then we have a group that accepts a dash 4 digits, and this group is optional according to the question mark, and that's at the end of the string. Alright, so although we've got validator code working, we can obviously add in all kinds of nonsense to our mask, and that's just not valid. So the first thing we want to do is block out invalid characters from getting into our mask. So we'll create a function, and we'll do this zip down, this key code, zip it down. There we go. All right, and what we want to do in here is we want to prevent default behaviors. And the default behavior is to update the value of the input box here. And so you can see I can't put in any more values here. They are completely blocked. Everything is blocked. We want a conditional blocking. So we're going to have to if. There we go, if, and what we're going to be doing is testing a regular expression So test, and we're going to be testing e.key. Now e is the event and key is a string value that represents the key that was pressed. It could be a single letter, a single number, a single symbol like plus. It could be a word like end or home. Well, in this case, we want to reject anything that is not a digit, and that's what /d will do for us. It'll reject anything that's not a digit, and I have to type in e.key again. There we go. All right. So good, let's try it now. ABC, that's blocked fine. 1, 2, 3, those go in fine. Let's backspace that out. Oh, wait a moment, I can't backspace, I can't arrow, I can't do, there's a lot of keys that I want to happen that aren't happening. Well, we have to allow those keys to happen. And the easiest way, here we go, I've just copied and pasted a simple way to do that. If the control key happens to be held down, allow things to happen. If the alt key happens to be held down, allow things to happen. If the meta key happens to be held down, and if it's got some descriptive word to the key, something longer than a single length of 1, then allow it to happen. So you see, let's go back up here and refresh. Refresh isn't, oh, Control R isn't working yet. I have to save. There we go. And now 1, 2, 3, and Control R refreshes. Good. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's good. And 6. Remember, our format is expecting a dash to come in after the 5th character. So let's work on that now. We're going to do that by editing the data after it's been entered. Zip input is the function that we're going to be creating. And this is going to be after an input event. And let's go down, and there's our input event that we're going to be using. It's already doing some code, so let's move that code up to our zip input function, and we'll have to adjust it a little bit to work. We don't need the $ event, we just need the E. Okay, good. We've got our starting point to start adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and when the 6th character comes in, we need a dash. So let's capture the target is our tag, value. Let's capture that value first. And what we want to do is we want the first 5 characters are going to be fine. So we can slice everything from characters 0 to 5. Good. And what we'll do is we'll just assign that back to the value. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, something's gone wrong. We should not have seen that 6th character go in at all. It should have been blocked because we updated the value to only 5 characters. Well, this is a little conflict happening between input tags and Vue, so we'll just synchronize everything back together. We get zip code value. This is where Vue stores the value, and we'll sync it back up with our new target value, our new tag value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. It's now blocking characters beyond the 5th from getting in. But at this point, if we're going beyond the 5th, what we need is if str, if the string length is greater than 5, then we want to add a, there it is, a dash. Okay, and from there, we'll just slice up our captured string from character 5 to the end. All right, so let's see how that does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good. It adds in the dash. 7, 8, 9. Okay, it's adding in more dashes than we need. So back up here, when we capture that string, what we're going to do is we're going to be replacing that dash with nothing. There we go. We'll just strip that dash out. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. 7, 8, 9. Good. That works. And let's start deleting characters. And good. The dash disappears when we want it to disappear. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. That's obviously gone way beyond the length that we want to allow. So let's slice this up. And we're going to only allow a length from 0 to 9 characters. Okay, so let's now try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. There we go. We've now blocked it off to the proper length that we want. All right, so let's see if there's anything more we need to do. Let's try deleting a character. Hey, the cursor jumped to the end. Let's delete a character again here at the beginning. And the cursor jumped to the end. Oh, maybe that's okay. No, the character's jumping to the end again. We have to control the cursor and let the cursor stay where it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be jumping to the end every time. So let the place, that's what we'll call the cursor place, target selectionEnd. That is where the cursor is located. And we will be going down here at the end. So we've stored the place it's in. And after we've stored it, we'll set our cursor back to that place. Okay, so now let's try things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Good. Go back to the first character and we'll delete. Good. Our cursor stayed in place. We'll delete. Good. Okay, our cursor is staying where we're expecting it to stay. But the astute among you might have noticed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The cursor didn't go to the end where it was supposed to. It stayed just before that. We started adding 7, 8, 9. So there is that one special case when we add in the dash that we want to increment our cursor place. So if our place equals 6 and our string length equals 6, then do place increment it by 1. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good. It went to where it was supposed to go. Yay. Okay, so that is our zip mask. Now, you could probably find a JavaScript library that could give you a custom way of doing this. That's fine if you want to do that. This will also work completely from scratch, custom method. Now the US zip code is limited in some ways. All it does is numbers, one separator, and a length limit. But there's more complicated situations out there. And what if we have a situation where we have, let's just copy and paste that situation in here. There we go. We've got a postal code, a Canadian postal code. Well, the Canadian postal code has a different format. It is a series of letters and numbers, alternating letters and numbers. And because it accepts letters and numbers, we have to do the mask is a little more complicated and a little bit more difficult for a generic library to handle. So we're going to be doing storing our data in something called PO code. So let's do that now. Let's store our data. PO code equals ref nothing. There we go. We're now storing our PO code. And let's deal with the input event first. Well, first I'll describe what's going on with this regular expression pattern. This is a little more complicated to look at, maybe a little intimidating, but it's really not that difficult. This first group represents letters that can never exist in a Canadian postal code. DFIOQU. If you ever try and put them in, you've got an invalid postal code. And then we've got the first letter is a little bit limited to that list there. And then we've got a digit. And then we've got a letter from A to Z, minus the ones that are never allowed. And then we have an optional space, a digit, followed by a letter, and ending with a digit. So that's the pattern that we're going to try and match here. All right. So let's first of all copy the input value that comes in later. PO input. First of all, we're going to be dealing with a space, and I'll do a regular expression to find the space. It may be a little bit overkill, but hey, why not? We could probably just, this regular expression probably could just be that, but we'll do that. Full thing. Total length of 6 characters allowed. Our space is going to be put at character 3. Character 3. Let's make sure that is a space. From 3 to the end. Our pattern, it's going to be A0A space 0A0. We're going to be storing it in PO code. That'll sync up our view value with our tag value. The place we want to move the cursor around to account for cursor placement when the space is in is place 4. And there we go. That will deal with PO code. We just have to go down here and make sure it's actually called. And there we go. PO input is now being called. All right, so let's see what happens when I start putting things in here. Hey, it's working. So long as I put in valid characters, it works. Now I can still put in lots of invalid characters. So that I can, now that if I put in valid characters, it formats properly. If I put in invalid characters, well, anyways, we have to deal with blocking invalid characters now. And we're going to be using that, using the PO down event. And let's start off our PO down. No, come on. There we are. We'll start by copying our zip down event. PO down. There we go. So first of all, we want to allow special characters, control characters, alt characters, function keys, all that stuff we want to allow. We want to prevent the default, prevent invalid characters from getting in. But the question is, what test are we going to run? That is the difficulty point that we're going to be starting now. So let's look at this. We have always got a Canadian postal code is always a letter, number, alternating letters and numbers. So what we can do is we can say, if it's the first character, make sure it's a letter. If it's the second position, make sure there's a letter before it. If we're entering a letter, make sure there's a number before it. So what we need is the previous character to wherever our cursor is. And I'm going to copy and paste a little bit of code here that will give us the previous character. Alright, there we go, and I'll explain what's going on. The before character, B, is going to be found. First of all, we get our tag, the value from our tag. We then slice that up, starting from the beginning to wherever our cursor is. We then remove any white space with trim. And then slice -1 will give us the last character in that line. So that will give us the character just before. So let me put this in, A1, A1, A1. Our cursor is now there. That should give us an A. Our cursor is there. It will give us a 1. And there's one more thing I should notice here about PO input. You notice to uppercase. There we go. I'm going to cast these things to uppercase letters. There we go. That's better, because it's a nice formatting and it just looks better. So anyways, back to our logic here, where we're going to be finding the key that we want. So we want the before key. We want to test the before key plus whatever key we've just entered. That's what we're trying to do. So what regular expression are we going to do? First, I'm going to copy the characters down here that are never allowed. These are never allowed in a valid postal code. All right. And now, this represents the first digit that's allowed. And we'll put a begin and end on it to be sure that it's limiting to one character. All right. So let's see what happens now when I try and, oh, hold on, before I go on. This represents characters that are valid. It will give a true if it's valid. And we'll do I for ignore case. So we want to, if this is not valid, we want to prevent the default. So we have to put a not symbol there, or a not valid. Okay. So now let's do this. Let's put a number in. That's blocked. Put some weird symbol in. Those are blocked. Let's put a letter in. A. That's good. That's allowed. Now you notice that Z is not allowed. Z is being blocked. D is not allowed. That's being blocked. S is allowed though. So that goes in. Now at this point I can start trying to put in anything else, but it's all being blocked. So we have now accounted for the first character going in. At this point, we have to account for the alternating. So we have to, a digit has to be preceded by a letter. So we say or. We have got a letter from A to Z /D, and make sure there we go. So now this, we should be able to put a digit in the second location now. Let's try it. A1. No other letters get in, no other numbers get in. Okay, so we've done it. Let's now consider the third case. So we want to get another letter put in. In this case, we're going to start with a digit, and it's going to be followed by a letter from A to Z, and end with that. Okay, let's try it now. A1, A1, A1. Good, and we can't put in extras. All right, so let's make sure that we got things. We can't put in invalid Z. We can't put in an invalid, let's see, invalid D is not allowed. All right, but we can put in an A and then a number. And then a D is never allowed. Good, we've got that blocked. But we can put in a Z now. Good, and all right. So it looks like we've got to the point here where we can just start mashing. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. Let's just start mashing down on the keyboard, and you see, I pushed in all kinds of nonsense, but it still only took valid stuff. All right. Oh, we've almost got our mask done here. It's just one more little thing that you should be aware of. Now, a digit is valid in this location. Now, a digit is valid here, digit's valid here, digit's valid here. You see, I've now got B44444. That's just wrong. What we're doing, well, okay, first of all, let's clean up. There we are. So now we've got our valid thing again. Now, what we really want to do is an insert case. So you see, I cover over that 4, and now it inserts, or it overwrites instead of inserts. An insert is the problem. We want to overwrite. So either we want to block the character, or we want to overwrite the character. And to overwrite, we use our cursor, and we do e dot, here we go, let's just copy and paste this because it's much quicker to copy and paste. There we go. Our selection end placement is going to be equal to our selection start placement plus 1. All right. So now let's mash in some characters here and go back, and we want to replace that Y with a B. Hey, it does a replace. Place that 3 with a 9, and it does a replace. Good. Replace that B with an N. Replace that 2 with a 7. Oh, wait a minute, what happened? Well, we got 27. So again, this space, we have to account for it. So if our selection start is equal to position 3, selection start, increment it by one position. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, and we'll replace that 2 now with a 5. Good, it works. So that is our mask. It works, it's functional, and actually this took a lot more trial and error to figure out than you might think from what I've shown you here. But this is a good starting point if you want to build your own mask. I'll be putting this code up on GitHub for you to view with your leisure. And thanks for watching part 8 of our exploration of the Vue 3 JavaScript framework and its work in building web forms. Goodbye for now.